It's time for the Sports Blitz, the only live-streamed local sports show in Arkansas, with all the latest on the sports stories that matter to you.
Welcome into the Sports Blitz on a Friday. You see the two-shot. That means you don't have to see my ugly mug so close up. Welcome in to the Cogswell Motors Studios on a Friday. Mark Freeman, Maddie Lassiter. We're joined by Jason Kilburn. What's going on, Jason?
Hey, not much, man. Just here to talk some sports.
No, this is the good stuff, man. We get to talk football. We get to talk a little baseball today. For those of you that are Major League Baseball fans, I am not among you, but it's playoff time, so we have to give it its just due. We've got high school football predictions for the Razorbacks tonight. NFL football, Thursday night football kicked off the weekend last night, and plenty more. College football started last night as well with the Iowa State-Texas game. Iowa State's coach not real excited with the officiating in that game. We'll talk about that as well today. Our CrossFit Russellville poll question, we want you to get involved with this today. Phone lines are tied up right now, but you can email us at mark@rivervalleyleader.com, or you can get a hold of us on Facebook, facebook.com/sportsblitz, and you can answer today's CrossFit Russellville poll question. What are your predictions for tomorrow's game as Arkansas goes to the Swamp? Try to get their first win in SEC history. Since Arkansas has joined the SEC, have not been able to beat the Florida Gators. Now, traveling to the Swamp, it's a tall test. Hogs are going to have to play a very good game to win tomorrow.
Yes, they are. It's going to be a tough one, especially at the Swamp. It's going to be loud in a night game. It's going to be a hard game, tough game for Arkansas to do.
I'm reading here on Twitter, and Robbie Neiswanger said something. He said something I didn't think about until working on something this morning. Brandon Allen will start on the road for the first time in his career tomorrow. That's, there are a lot of different factors. Florida's defense is really good. Arkansas got worn down last week on the defensive side, and the running game of Texas A&M just took over. Florida's running game is better than Texas A&M's running game. Now, they don't have a Johnny Manziel back there, but their running game is better. And if they're going to wear down Arkansas's offense, if Texas A&M's going to wear down Arkansas's defense, Florida's going to be able to do the same thing. So Corey Williams made a comment about that on our prediction, on our prediction thread. You're welcome to go to facebook.com/sportsblitz. Leave us your prediction as well, because we will hit the Razorbacks hard here in just a little bit. And the pros and cons, the things that we see that the Razorbacks can take advantage of, and some things that we think that will be harder to do as far as the Razorbacks game on Saturday. But let's start real quickly with our Peters Family Living local sports look. Jason, I know you're going to try to make your way to Dardanelle tonight for the Pottsville Apaches and the Dardanelle Sand Lizards. That's our River Valley Leader featured game of the week. Ryan Smith will be there. It's going to be a good one there in Dardanelle.
Yes, it will be. It's going to be a good game. I think Dardanelle is really hungry after losing the last couple years, and Pottsville with Perry it's going to be a tough match.
Both teams undefeated. Both teams have played very, very well up to this point. Now, Dardanelle has been for the last couple weeks without their starting quarterback, and you've heard a little bit about this front because he was supposed to be out for this game.
He was supposed to be out. Rumor has he's got his cast off. Now, I don't know if that means his arm is completely healthy, and he has been throwing, but for him to be – it's probably a game-time decision, I assume. I wouldn't expect him to play, but the rumor is that he might have a chance.
And now it's his left arm, and he's a right-handed quarterback. So
that is correct.
I was saying before the show, if his arm was healthy enough to play, I would have just left the cast on just for that added protection, right, and let him play. You know, he's obviously going to throw it with the other arm anyway. Let him play and have that added protection if his arm is healthy. What was the injury? I mean, was it like a badly broken bone?
I'm not for sure. I just know that he went diving for the end zone on a touchdown run, and when he did, he just landed on it wrong and broke it.
Well, we've seen diving into the end zone by a quarterback is a couple-week injury.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, especially if you land on your shoulder.
Yeah. So, it'd be even more interesting, added intrigue to the game if he's able to play for the Sand Lizards. But either way, that's a rivalry. I know it's funny, Coach Garrett Hill, who comes in here and helps us out on occasion, he coaches at Pottsville. His wife coaches at Dardanelle, and it's like the house divided. And you hear them talking back and forth. And last night, congratulations to the junior high Sand Lizards who beat the Apaches in junior high football last night. You hear them going back and forth, and I see it on Twitter, people talking to Michael Perry, and those guys all talking back and forth to each other, all in good fun. But it's a rivalry, and like we mentioned the other day, now that they've got that cut-through road there, that makes it just a real short trip to get to the bridge from Pottsville, it's a even bigger rivalry, and you're going to have a packed house tonight at Keenan Field, and you're going to have a good game, both teams very hungry, and it's a huge game, not only for the fact that these two teams are proximity-wise close to one another. It's a big 4A4 conference matchup.
Yes, it is. Whoever wins this has got a good lead at winning the conference. It's going to be a tough game.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Also tonight, we've got the Russellville Cyclones hosting Northside, Fort Smith Northside. They're 0-3-1. They tied Pine Bluff last week to get that N1 on their record. Pine Bluff has talented tight end Will Gregg. It's Chris Gregg's brother, and Arkansas target at tight end. And, no, I don't even think – he didn't even play tight end, does he?
Yeah, he plays tight end.
He plays tight end? Okay,
Yeah.
I was just making sure. I wanted to say he played defensive end for some reason, but, he plays tight end. He's a very talented guy, and Northside's kind of coming back around. They've lost to Rogers Heritage, and one other team, and then they've tied Pine Bluff. So they've kind of – Greenwood was the other team that beat them. And for comparison's sake, Greenwood beat Alma 47-7. Russellville beat Alma like 17-7. So it was a close game. Then Greenwood beat Northside, I think it was 41-14. So, this should be a good game if you're comparing scores. And I know that doesn't always, equate equally, but should be a good game for the Cyclones tonight against Northside. They've got a little tailgate going on. It's homecoming for the Russellville Cyclones this morning at about 7:30. They were supposed to met at Harps and drove down, do a little police-guided parade into school for the seniors as they're dressing up and just acting crazy, not just for the seniors, for the entire senior high school. And tonight it's going to be a big game. Jason, I've talked to a couple coaches about homecoming, and as fun as homecoming is, sometimes it can be a little bit of a distraction.
I agree with that. The kids are always hyped up and ready to play, but you got to be thinking, well, I've got to escort her, and all that good stuff. So I'm sure there's a lot more than just playing in the game than just a whole homecoming experience.
Yeah, I remember my senior year, and I wasn't a big contributor by any means, but it was just a whole lot of stuff surrounding the game. My sister was on the court, the homecoming court. She was a sophomore maiden. I was a senior, so I had to walk her. They pick people to walk. Now I would have walked a senior, but my sister was on the court, so I had to walk her, and it was just I had to think about where I was supposed to be and when I was supposed to be there and what I was supposed to do, where I was supposed to walk, how I was supposed to smile, and how I wasn't supposed to push my sister down because that's just what I was used to doing. But long story short, it was a whole bunch of other stuff that wasn't about basketball. And tonight, the football players, until they get on the field, they may be thinking about 100 different things. When they get on the field, it'll be a completely different story. But there's going to be a tailgate party sponsored by a lot of different local businesses. You can go to rivervalleyleader.com. You can check that out, or our Facebook page, facebook.com/RVL News. You can find the information about that. Jeff Terry and a lot of those Cyclone Nation folks putting that together, and it's going to be a good time for those Russellville Cyclones fans tonight at Cyclone Stadium. I would love to encourage you to go to rivervalleyleader.com today and read our story on Robin Richardson. Ryan Smith, our talented freelance writer and intern, wrote a story yesterday about the Russellville Cyclones' biggest fan. He's an Arkansas Tech fan as well. He goes to, you may have seen him on the sidelines at all the games. He wears his football pants to the game, wears his jersey. Right. He's just a big, big fan of the Russellville Cyclones and Arkansas Tech Wonder Boys and Golden Suns. Always there to root on the teams, helps the officials. I didn't know this, but he helps the officials get their water and anything they might need. He'll be behind the goalpost whenever they're kicking extra points, trying to catch that ball and get it to the ball boys and just be there to help. Just a very interesting and well-written story by Ryan yesterday about Robin Richardson. I was excited to read it and see it, and a lot lot of people in town were, to me, I was a little bit surprised by how many people were sharing that around, and they were happy to read about a beloved figure in Russellville.
Yeah, he's been around a long time, as long as I can remember. Of course, I'm not ancient by any means. I guess 37 is not too old. But he's been around forever. I mean, he's always been at every single game. If I go to a Russellville game or a Tech game, and he, like you're saying, he's always behind that field goal, trying to kick those extra points and trying to catch those field goals. So, Rockin' Robin, every time you see him, man, he's always talking, what about those Cardinals, man? This is our year, man. We're going to win the World Series, and so he's a big Cardinals fan, and, man, there's nothing like Rockin' Robin around here.
Oh, no, he's a great guy. And now I would encourage you to go read that story. There's a picture of him with Zach Hawker at War Memorial Stadium, and you can just tell his face just lit up when he saw old Zach. It's a cool story. You got to go to River Valley Leader and check that out. But we mentioned Russellville's playing Northside, Pottsville, Dardanelle. Clarksville is homecoming for the Panthers as well. They're taking on Huntsville. My senior class was there for the Ozark game. We were treated to a very good game, but it's homecoming tonight. I don't know why our reunion wasn't on homecoming weekend, but either way, tonight is actual homecoming. It's red and white day at Clarksville High School. We hope you guys are enjoying all that stuff going on there. I know we've got a big following at Clarksville High School, so enjoy yourself tonight at homecoming for the Clarksville Panthers against the Huntsville Eagles. Lamar traveling to Mansfield tonight, Atkins at Lavaca, Dover at Mena, Danville hosts Cedarville, Hector hosts Magazine, and Two Rivers hosts Fountain Lake. Got several games at home tonight. We want your help. We're going to post a status later on this evening about the Friday Night Football scoreboard, and for the last few weeks, 4 weeks in so far, we've had every score before the end of the night. We've had the score to every game. It helps when you go to a game and you can find out what's going on in the other ones, and you can find out before you leave your game what the scores are to all the other games. You don't have to wait for the news, or you don't have to wake up tomorrow to find out who won the games. You get to find out tonight. We need your help. Go to facebook.com/RVL News. I don't know about you, but I really enjoy being able to just scroll through the status and find out what the score is over here or over there.
Yeah, it's really handy. It's good that the fans, comment on that and do that, because sometimes, I'll be watching Fox Sports or Fox 16's got their nightly high school roundup, and their games are always late. It'll be like in the second or third quarter, and the game will be already over. It'll be 11:30 at night or something, and they still got the second or third quarter score in there. So it's really handy that the fans get behind this and do that. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. There's a certain website that I go to, and I enjoy going to the website, but like you said, it'll have a halftime score 2 hours after the game's over. Right. So it's good that people can really get on the ball and help us keep that up to date. So we appreciate that. We've got questions coming in right now over the phone, and we will get to those questions after the break. We're going to look at some Major League Baseball playoff stuff. The season has officially begun. Really, to me, 162-game baseball season. It's too long for my attention span. But now that the playoffs have come around, it's time to dig in a little bit, find out. We've got a question about who's going to win the NL and who's going to represent the National League in the World Series. We'll answer that and more after the break.
Over 69 years of treating you like family, Peters Family Living's main goal is customer service. That is their promise to their customers. They offer in-house financing on furniture and appliances and a 30-day money-back guarantee. For a friendly, no-pressure atmosphere, visit Peters Family Living today at 201 North Arkansas Avenue, Russellville. Online at petersfamilyliving.com or call 479-968-2929.
Today, there are more than 20 brands of cars being sold in America. So to be noticed, Ford and Cogswell Motors have to go further than anyone thought we could. How does Ford stand out above the crowd? Not just with plug-in vehicles like the new 2013 Ford Fusion Energy that gets a projected 100 miles per gallon equivalent, but also with a line of gas vehicles equipped with the innovative EcoBoost engines combining power and efficiency, plus a full measure of technologically advanced features. We invite you to stop into Cogswell Motors today. We go further than anyone thought we could, so that you can go further too.
RiverValleyLeader.com is the #1 local source for instant news in the River Valley, offering HD video and live streaming along with top-notch coverage of all the news and events around the area. The River Valley Leader is the only place to go for all the information you need. Check out the newest local business featured on the site, as well as police news and coverage from important meetings, along with the personal stories, all at one convenient click. Check out RiverValleyLeader.com.
Hi folks, Richard Roberts with Cogswell Motors in Russellville. You know, we've been in business since 1949. A dealership doesn't stay in business that long under the same ownership unless you're doing something right, and that's taking care of customers. We have the largest selection of new Ford, Lincoln, Mazda, and pre-owned vehicles in the River Valley. So if you want the most for your trade, the best interest rate on financing, and the best price on a new or pre-owned automobile, come to Russellville and see us. We're at 1900 East Main, or visit us on the web at cogswellmotors.com.
If you didn't count on KARK4 today this morning,
here's what you missed.
Updated news.
Police continue searching for suspects after a home intrusion overnight.
Developing stories.
There's another piece of presidential history turning up here in Arkansas.
And weather and traffic on the force.
Friday night, Saturday morning will bring us our next chance rain.
Every 10 minutes.
Around the clock.
Making your day easier.
So rise and shine and count on.
Count on.
Count on. KARK4 today.
Had a couple questions in the break. Now we've got, normally the phone line works. We're having some technical issues with the phone lines right now. Sorry you can't call in to 968 News and get on the air, but if you want to ask a question, you're welcome to call in. We had a couple of them during the break. One of them asked about Paris Charleston tonight. We've mentioned that conference a couple times, that tough 3A conference there where, you know, we've got Lamar and Danville and Atkins in the conference. You've also got Charleston, Paris. You've got Cedarville, who's doing very well this year, Mansfield. You've got a Lavaca, tough conference. And tonight, Paris and Charleston are playing one another. Obviously, Lamar is going to have to play both of those schools as well, and Atkins. So, it's just going to be, it's a tough conference from top to bottom. Last year, everybody was wondering, can anybody beat Ty Story and can anybody beat, you know, the Charleston team? And now they were very, 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 very good. But Atkins got them. They found them on a night where, you know, they picked off
I think that was
Story
in the
2 or
playoffs
3
too,
times. Well, I don't think that was
they-
the game that they beat them, because I think it was in Atkins. If I'm not mistaken, unless it was 2 years ago. Did Story? He's a junior, right?
Yeah, he's a junior.
He didn't start as a freshman, did he? If he started as a freshman,
I
it
don't know
could have
about
been
that.
2 years ago. If not, it was last year where Atkins beat Charleston at Atkins, and it was, I just remember Bro and Roy calling that game, and I was listening to a little bit of it from the Harps parking lot, and it was just hilarious to me because they were going nuts, as they do, and we talked to Roy a couple weeks ago. They were just going nuts during this game because, you know, it was a huge win for the Atkins Red Devil program. So tonight we had a question asked if Paris can beat Charleston. Look, Charleston's good, and from what I've heard, and I've asked several different people, is Ty Story the real deal? And I had a Clarksville coach who played him this year. He said he's the real deal. And, you know, they've got 2 receivers who are incredibly good as well. So he's not all alone. They've got a stud receiving core and a everything quarterback who's going to go play for the Razorbacks, but that doesn't mean they can't be beaten. So we'll see tonight if Paris can get them, and if Paris doesn't get them, maybe Atkins or Lamar or somebody else can sneak up and grab Ty Story and Charleston there and knock them off their perch. But we'll see. That is a tough conference, though, and it's going to be a tough test for anybody to run through that conference unscathed. We also had a question in the break about the National League in the Major League Baseball playoffs. I mentioned the other day I thought the Dodgers would probably come through the NL, but I mentioned that my respect is growing for the St. Louis Cardinals, the way they go about their business, and they are now up 1-0 on the Pittsburgh Pirates. They got a win last night. The Dodgers also beat the Braves last night, 12 strikeout performance from Clayton Kershaw. They've got Zach Greinke. They've got a offensive lineup that can really put some runs up really quickly, and the pitching staff to shut you down. So I said that I like the Dodgers to come out of the NL. I'm not going to lie to you. I'd probably be rooting for the St. Louis Cardinals, though, now as a non-baseball fan, and my respect growing for the Cardinals. I'm going to go those two in the NLCS. Although I predicted the Dodgers to win, I'll be rooting for the Cardinals.
As long as it's not the Dodgers, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
My brother's a big Dodgers fan, and I can remember back I'm a big Oakland A's fan.
Yeah.
So they were playing the Dodgers in the I guess it'd be the either 88 World Series or 89 World Series, and that was when Kirk Gibson was hurt, and he came up to bat and hit that home run, and my brother used to go around, pumping his fist all the time, man. And I just could not stand that, and ever since then I've pretty much hated the Dodgers. And anybody but the Dodgers out of the NL would be perfect for me.
Nice. Well, out of the AL, I guess you're going to root for the A's then.
A's, yeah. A's.
Well, I think Detroit probably going to win that series.
Yeah, maybe so. That's like our new New York Yankees. We never got over the Yankees hump. Now I don't think we can get over that Detroit hump. But if the Dodgers do make it to the World Series, maybe the A's will make it, and then the A's can sweep the Dodgers. I would take that.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Watch Moneyball. You'll respect a little bit more about what the Oakland A's do. A lot of people are predicting a Boston and Los Angeles Dodgers World Series. The Boston Red Sox doing pretty well in the AL East, or out of the AL East, and a lot of people have predicted them to go to the World Series out of the AL. I'm sort of one of those that Detroit pitching. Now they last year they kind of laid an egg, but Detroit's pitching, Scherzer, good Lord, and Verlander. You hadn't heard a whole lot about him because how good Scherzer's been so far this year. So, watching the Detroit Tigers in the playoffs. They'll shut you down pretty quickly if the pitching's on, so it's tough to beat them. Boston, though, I like the Beards. I'm a big Beard fan, so I'll be rooting for the Red Sox as well. I started rooting for the Red Sox and the Cubs when I was in high school because both of them were terrible. And then I guess it was 2003. Well, it was 2003. It was my senior year when both teams got pretty decent. And I remember both of them playing in the playoffs that year, and it was the Bartman game, and then it was the Aaron effing Boone. Remember that when he hit the home run? So I didn't really care too much for baseball, but those two teams caught my attention, and I've sort of rooted for those two teams whenever I've had the opportunity. So there's your baseball fix, folks. If you want any more from baseball, you can comment on our Facebook page, facebook.com/sportsblitz, and let us know what you think. Who's going to win the World Series? I have a feeling around here that it's going to be heavy Cardinals, and that's all right. You guys are welcome to root for your guys. Saw yesterday, let's look through the wire real quickly. Saw yesterday that was actually late last night, Iowa State and Texas in Ames, and Iowa State has a chance to win the game. Really, it's sort of their fault. They were up 6 points because they kind of screwed up on their last drive. Texas gets down to the 1 yard line, and
before Texas got down there, though, they had two pass interference calls. That was the one was thrown out of bounds. I mean, it was uncatchable. I don't know why in the world they throw a flag on that, but
that one was questionable. The most questionable call, though, for a lot of people today comes on near the goal line as Texas running back, gets into a pile and no whistle, and an Iowa State player takes the ball from him, takes off running, whistle blows. Iowa State saying, what are you doing? Right. The officials go to review it. Obviously, the review official's hands are tied because he has to basically assume the call on the field is right. I was listening to Robert Smith this morning on ESPN explain the rule a little bit, and he said, the replay official has to assume that the call on the field was the right call and then decide from there, if there's indisputable evidence on the other side. But they say that the play was over, so he can't really do anything about it. And the bottom line, though, the whistle hadn't blown. You can listen and you can tell the whistle hadn't blown. Not saying it shouldn't have blown, I'm not a big Texas fan, so my second favorite team is whoever's playing Texas. But I was rooting for them last night because I want them to win just enough games for Mac Brown to keep his job forever. Sign him up to a lifetime contract because he's terrible. And as long as Texas stays terrible, I'll be all right. But watching that game last night, I thought it was a little bit of a, I don't want to say a screw job, but I heard a lot of people who were from the old Southwest Conference saying, this is what happens for Texas. Anytime they need a call, they get a call.
And they did. I think for sure it looked like it was a fumble. He ripped the ball away, and like you're saying, that was the whistle blew after he pulled the ball away. So, of course, Texas gets out there with another win. But if Mac Brown would have lost that game, man, his seat would have been on fire.
I think he's going to make it through the year regardless, because a lot of people are saying he's being groomed to be the athletic director.
Yeah,
Dodd's going to be gone after this year, and he's being groomed to be the athletic director. Hey, with Arkansas getting a guy like Jeff Long following up Frank Broyles, and this is not meant to be any disrespect to Frank Broyles. You've seen the difference now between the way Frank Broyles is a great moneymaker. He was great with fundraising and that type of thing, and Answer the Calls worked out pretty well for Jeff Long as well. But Jeff Long's done a better job hiring coaches. I mean, just bottom line, he's got Mike Anderson here, who I believe in and I think has done a good job. He's got Brett Bielema here. He had Bobby Petrino before, so he's had a pretty good track record of hiring coaches. I don't trust Mac Brown, if I'm a Texas fan, to make good hires in that way. I could see him being a good fundraiser and a guy who could go around and, hey, give some money. How hard does it have to be be a fundraiser for Texas? But being an athletic director, making those personnel decisions, go ahead and keep Mac Brown as your athletic director, Texas. I think the rest of the country would be happy if you did that, because it's not the way it used to be in the 50s, 60s, 70s, where you get an old coach who's been there for 100 years and it's time for him to step down. He's beloved, and now he's your athletic director. It doesn't necessarily work that way. You need a business-minded guy and not a coach, a former coach. And Jeff Long's showed us at Arkansas that it's more successful when you've got a business-minded guy there. I'm all for Texas letting Mac Brown be the athletic director.
Yeah, I'm fine with that too. You're talking about Jeff Long. When he was brought in, everybody was like, "Oh, I can't believe we got Jeff Long. Yeah. Let's get rid of him." The first 2 or 3 years, everybody could not stand him, but now everybody's falling in love with him. And there's even rumors going around that Texas has been in contact with him to see if he would be interested in the AD job.
Wow.
Which I don't want him to leave Arkansas.
No.
But another thing on Jeff Long is, yesterday he's going to be on the committee for the playoff system that's coming out. He's going to be one of the people that picks the teams for the committee. So that's given him a lot of credit there, and he was the National AD of the Year last year. So there's a lot of positives coming from Jeff Long.
He's definitely getting a lot of pub, and, the Associated Press reported yesterday that, like Jason said, Jeff Long is going to be on the committee of the 14 playoff selection committee. It's going to be a very, very prestigious deal for him to be able to sit on this board and tell people who he thinks should be in the 14 playoff. It's going to give him a lot of credibility with coaches too. Especially in fundraising and that type of thing. But I can see coaches saying, okay, well, people think highly enough of you to give you the Athletic Director of the Year award or to put you on this board to make decisions because they think you're that good a decision maker. I can see myself working for you, and I feel like that's going to make Arkansas an even that much more attractive job. We're going to talk about some recruits that have seen Arkansas as a little bit more attractive. Basketball recruit, and Arkansas picked up another football commitment as well. We'll get to the Razorbacks here in just a little bit. We've got a couple more things along the wire that we want to hit as well, so stay with us.
Over 69 years of treating you like family, Peters Family Living's main goal is customer service. That is their promise to their customers. They offer in-house financing on furniture and appliances and a 30-day money-back guarantee. For a friendly, no-pressure atmosphere, visit Peters Family Living today at 201 North Arkansas Avenue, Russellville. Online at petersfamilyliving.com or call 479-968-2929.
Today, there are more than 20 brands of cars being sold in America. So to be noticed, Ford and Cogswell Motors have to go further than anyone thought we could. How does Ford stand out above the crowd? Not just with plug-in vehicles like the new 2013 Ford Fusion Energy that gets a projected 100 miles per gallon equivalent, but also with a line of gas vehicles equipped with the innovative EcoBoost engines combining power and efficiency, plus a full measure of technologically advanced features. We invite you to stop into Cogswell Motors today. We go further than anyone thought we could, so that you can go further too.
RiverValleyLeader.com is the #1 local source for instant news in the River Valley, offering HD video and live streaming along with top-notch coverage of all the news and events around the area. The River Valley Leader is the only place to go for all the information you need. Check out the newest local business featured on the site, as well as police news and coverage from important meetings, along with the personal stories, all at one convenient click. Check out RiverValleyLeader.com.
Hi folks, Richard Roberts with Cogswell Motors in Russellville. You know, we've been in business since 1949. A dealership doesn't stay in business that long under the same ownership unless you're doing something right, and that's taking care of customers. We have the largest selection of new Ford, Lincoln, Mazda, and pre-owned vehicles in the River Valley. So if you want the most for your trade, the best interest rate on financing, and the best price on a new or pre-owned automobile, come to Russellville and see us. We're at 1900 East Main, or visit us on the web at cogswellmotors.com.
If you didn't count on KARK4 today this morning,
Here's what you missed.
updated news,
Police continue searching for suspects after a home intrusion overnight.
developing stories,
It's another piece of presidential history turning up here in Arkansas.
and weather and traffic on the force.
Friday night, Saturday morning will bring us our next chance rain.
Every 10 minutes.
Around the clock.
Making your day easier.
So rise and shine and count on.
Count on.
Count on KRK4 today.
Got a couple questions that I want to ask Jason. Okay, he wasn't here on Wednesday, so I couldn't quite ask him. But a couple questions that I want to ask him real quickly. One of them involves his Tampa Bay Buccaneers, so we'll get to that one here in just a minute. See him shaking his head. He's a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan, man. He's tortured. Also, the other question is about. I'm so biased when it comes to LeBron James. It's not even funny, but we saw in the 2K14, NBA 2K14, LeBron James on the cover. He's throwing up his powder. He's going to bring that back. We saw in an interview the other day, it's been all across the sports world, Michael Jordan saying he could beat all these other guys. You know, he'd wished he could play Jerry West and Elgin Baylor and LeBron and Kobe and Dwayne Wade, all these guys in their primes. He said he wouldn't lose. And then he sort of tongue-in-cheek jokingly said, except for Kobe, he steals all my moves. And, you know, I feel like he wasn't saying that Kobe was better than him, he beat him. I think he just wanted to make that jab at Kobe that he steals all his moves. Who do you think would give Michael Jordan the best game?
Kobe.
You think so? Why?
No, I don't know. I'm just saying that. You know, I'm a big Kobe fan, so I've got to say Kobe. I hate to say it, but probably LeBron. Just because what, you know, like you were talking about on Wednesday, what LeBron brings to the table, you know, not just offensively but defensively too. Which Kobe's a good defender too, but LeBron's just, he's 6'8", 240.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's just tough no matter what.
I heard Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was on First Take. He did the ESPN car wash yesterday, and he was on there yesterday, and Skip Bayless asked him what would happen if they played, and he said, you know, if I played Michael Jordan one-on-one, I would dominate from the inside, he would dominate from the outside. My one question would be, how would Kareem get to the inside? Now, if you have to check it up top, how do you get to the inside on Michael Jordan?
Back him down.
He ain't backing him down. Jordan will come around you and get the ball. He will take it from you.
Well, you know,
So I wondered about
arms
that.
are so long,
yeah,
though.
but
I mean, he might be able
he
to-
doesn't dribble unless he's shooting a
Oh, yeah,
15-foot sky hook. He's in trouble. So you know, I'm not gonna lie to you. Looking at the game, unbiased, you know, I'm not sure that Kobe wouldn't give Jordan the best game because he is 2 inches taller, a little heavier. He might be able to post Jordan a little bit better than LeBron even. LeBron, I believe, in his prime has just as much speed as Jordan in his prime. Jordan could get hot shooting, though,
Right.
and LeBron would be at a disadvantage there. But from what we've heard from LeBron, he's talking about how he's gotten better. And if he's gotten better, he was a 50% shooter last year. And I know he was very efficient. He didn't shoot it as much as Jordan. But I've been watching some of these Jordan games from back in the day. And when he goes off for 69 against the Cavaliers and he does all the, he has all these incredible scoring performances, he could get really hot in a hurry. And then, there were games where he'd go, 7 for 30, and he'd shot it 30 times, and LeBron never does that. But then there were also games where he'd go, 17 for 22, and it's just like, what?
Right.
He could get incredibly hot, incredibly fast. So it's hypothetical and theoretical, and the game will never happen. But it's kind of a fun talk to have. I don't know who would give him the best game, but I do feel like Jordan would beat pretty much anybody because he'd rip your heart out on the court if he had to win.
Right. Yeah, and you was talking about Jordan, man, and I'll never forget, when he got hot against Portland, when he made all those, I think he made 6 threes in the first half.
Yep.
He was unconscious. I mean, he was just coming down and shoot it, and it was going in.
Yep. I watched
No matter
that game. The funny thing was he missed his first one, and then I watched the game just the other day on the NBA channel. Recorded it, and he missed the first one, and then he hit one, and they left him wide open because the book on him back then was just pack the paint. He can't shoot,
right.
And I mean he could shoot all right, but it was much better than having him put you on a poster. And so they would pack the paint on him, and he got hot, and the Cliff Robinson talking to him, and somebody in the crowd said something to him, and he just turned around after one of them and he gives him the, well, what do I do? I'm hitting everything. 35 in the first half, so have some of that. Jordan, man, he was very good. I can't stand him as a human being, but regardless of that, he was a very good basketball player. And that's been a fun conversation. But back to more pressing matters. Josh Freeman cut by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and you've talked about this for a couple weeks. It's been torturous to you that they've lost the way they have, and here they are now. They're going to go with Mike Glennon the rest of the year, it appears.
Yeah, and we're 0-4. But the 3 games before this last one, we could be 3-1 easily right now. And I don't know if Mike Glennon is the answer, but I definitely don't think that Josh Freeman was. But as a contract here, I thought he was going to have a good year. I thought this was going to be the year that we make the playoffs and we make a strong push in the playoffs. But now, since we've turned it over to Glennon, and now everybody's saying that Greg Schiano might be fired.
Yeah.
And he's just got there. I mean, he's only been there last year and this year, so I think you got to give him time. But apparently he's not too nice of a coach, apparently.
Yeah, that's the thing. It seems he's rubbed people the wrong way more than anything. And when you're winning and you're rubbing people the wrong way, you remember last year when he got mad about the way teams were, what was it? That people got mad about him coming after them trying to take a knee. Is that what it was?
Well, when they were taking a knee, like at the end of the game, his defense was still playing and was trying to get a push to, have a turnover or something. Yeah. And, of course, I guess that's another unwritten rule, that they've got, that they don't need to do that. So a lot of people did get upset about him on that.
But it's all right when your team's competitive. When your team's losing, they get mad pretty quickly at you. So that's sort of where Greg Schiano is. Who knows if he's going to be there next year or if he's going to be one of the candidates for Texas. I'm looking at hogville.net, and there's some odd rumors about who's going to be the AD, and they're saying Andrew Luck's dad, what's his name, Oliver Luck, will be the new AD at Texas, and if he's the new AD at Texas, they're going to go after this coach and this coach. And, Texas, it's not so pie in the sky as what it is for Arkansas whenever they say guys like John Gruden or Pete Carroll or this guy or this guy, Nick Saban, but they've got some big names that they want to go after, and I'm sure they're going to get a big name to come to Texas. Although it is a sort of a grease fire, I'm not sure if I were a young coach that I would want to go into that. If I were a coach that had been if I were Nick Saban, it wouldn't be a big deal for me to go to Texas right now. But with the way that they've struggled for the last several years, it might be more than a 1-year turnaround for a coach. And if that's the case, you're going to have some people on you if you're not very good next year, just instantly because it's Texas. So that could be an interesting coaching search.
The hot rumor going around is Houston Nutt's going to be the AD, and then he's going to hire Bobby Petrino. So Let's go ahead and get that one started.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Texas. We'll load their bags for you if you want. Anyway, we've got a couple questions that have been sent in, and while we're just hitting the mixed bag of potpourri things here, that's what we used to call this segment, on the wire, we'll ask a couple questions. Old School Baller asked for a couple things. He didn't hear us talking about Pottsville Dardanelle a little while ago. He asked for a score prediction in that one, and then also the Oakland A's. We talked about them against Detroit and knowing the pitching that Detroit's got. I said that Detroit was going to win that series. But
Hey, Oakland's got a good pitching staff too, though.
Oakland, man, they do it like we said. They do it the Moneyball way. They're not going to be a bunch of guys you've heard of. They're not going to be any Verlanders rolling out there, but they're going to do it the right way, and they're going to have a chance in the series.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Cologne, he's 45 years old or something like that, and he's had one of his best
there's no telling how old he really is.
That's true. He's probably actually like 67 or something. Never knowing those.
Lord knows what's flowing through those veins as well.
That's true. He's been on suspension twice.
You go down there to the Dominican or wherever he's from and end up with some sort of cocktail. But anyway, the Pottsville Dardanelle game, that's our River Valley leader, featured game of the week tonight in high school football. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game because I think both these offenses are really good. Not saying the defenses aren't, but the offenses are really good. And if the quarterback is named Thompson,
yeah.
If he's back, Christian Thompson for Dardanelle, that could add an element there for the Sand Lizards on offense that Dardanelle or that I think Pottsville will have trouble with. Now they've got a talented defensive backfield, especially there at safety in Pottsville, a guy that'll cut off half the field that you really don't want to throw at. That's Michael Perry.
Right.
And then he's also on the other side as the quarterback. But for Dardanelle, Parker Witt, we talked about him before the show in prep, the wide receiver from Dardanelle, he gives them a deep threat. And another guy, and Dardanelle's got a lot of speed on offense too. So it's going to be a fun game. I don't know about a score, but I'd say somewhere in the 30s.
Yeah, probably, or maybe even higher than that.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a high-scoring game.
Well, Pottsville scored 49 last week. Dardanelle scored 52 or something at Mayflower, 52 or 53.
No, they played Dover last week, was down 10-0 at halftime and scored 45 unanswered points in the second half.
How many did they score in the Mayflower game? Because they were down like 10 and they came back and won 50-something.
55,
so
48.
They're both high-scoring teams. I think the defenses will slow the other team down just enough. But if it gets into a scoring fest back and forth, it could get into the 40s and 50s, and that would be a very, very fun game. Not so fun for Ryan, who's going to be sitting there writing this stuff down so fast. But it'll be a fun game regardless. I've got it somewhere in the 30s. Jason thinks it might go in the 40s.
Yeah, and everybody talks about the quarterback play for Dardanelle, which, they do. And, Kessler, he's the sophomore quarterback that's coming in. Everybody talks about Parker Witt, the 6'3" wide receiver that they have. But the Tucker, the running back kid, man, he's good. He's real good. He's quick. He's fast, and he can hit that hole.
They've got a lot of talent there at Dardanelle, and I was surprised last week watching Pottsville for the first time this year. Sophomore Jordan Duggar, who I think is going to be really good. He's got a little wiggle to him. He can run, and he can make guys miss. He's not very big. And so it's kind of funny to watch him when he's running. He doesn't look like a midget out there or anything, but he's kind of skinny and about 5'9", 5'10" at the most. And when he gets to moving, you think, man, if somebody got a hold of him, it would hurt. But
Michael
he made
Smith
a guy
type.
miss, and he's not quite as built up as Michael Smith, but he kind of looks like him compared to the guys that Michael Smith was out there against. But Duggar had a couple touchdowns last week, nice long runs, and I'll be interested to see how well he plays this week for Pottsville as well. So if you've got any other questions, let us know. Facebook.com/SportsBlitz. You can find us on Twitter. I am at Real Mark Freeman, and you are
One Big Hog Fan.
One Big Hog Fan. You can let us know what you think on Facebook or Twitter. Let's hit our final break. When we come back, we'll break down Florida, Arkansas in the Swamp tomorrow.
Over 69 years of treating you like family, Peters Family Living's main goal is customer service. That is their promise to their customers. They offer in-house financing on furniture and appliances and a 30-day money-back guarantee. For a friendly, no-pressure atmosphere, visit Peters Family Living today at 201 North Arkansas Avenue, Russellville, online at petersfamilyliving.com, or call 479-968-1200. 2929.
Today, there are more than 20 brands of cars being sold in America. So to be noticed, Ford and Cogswell Motors have to go further than anyone thought we could. How does Ford stand out above the crowd? Not just with plug-in vehicles like the new 2013 Ford Fusion Energy that gets a projected 100 miles per gallon equivalent, but also with a line of gas vehicles equipped with the innovative EcoBoost engines combining power and efficiency, plus a full measure of technologically advanced features. We invite you to stop into Cogswell Motors today. We go further than anyone thought we could, so that you can go further too.
RiverValleyLeader.com is the #1 local source for instant news in the River Valley, offering HD video and live streaming along with top-notch coverage of all the news and events around the area. The River Valley Leader is the only place to go for all the information you need. Check out the newest local business featured on the site, as well as police news and coverage from important meetings, along with the personal stories, all at one convenient click. Check out RiverValleyLeader.com.
Hi folks, Richard Roberts with Cogswell Motors in Russellville. You know, we've been in business since 1949. A dealership doesn't stay in business that long under the same ownership unless you're doing something right, and that's taking care of customers. We have the largest selection of new Ford, Lincoln, Mazda, and pre-owned vehicles in the River Valley. So if you want the most for your trade, the best interest rate on financing, and the best price on a new or pre-owned automobile, come to Russellville and see us. We're at 1900 East Main, or visit us on the web at cogswellmotors.com.
If you didn't count on KARK4 today this morning,
Here's what you missed.
updated news,
Police continue searching for suspects after a home intrusion overnight.
developing stories,
There's another piece of presidential history turning up here in Arkansas.
and weather and traffic on the force.
Friday night, Saturday morning will bring us our next chance rain.
Every 10 minutes.
Around the clock.
Making your day easier.
So rise and shine and count on.
Count on.
Count on KRK4 today.
We'll get to Prediction Friday here in just a minute. We'll read your Facebook comments, and we'll give you our predictions for the Razorbacks and Florida tomorrow. But before we do, we want to hit some basketball stuff. Practice begins this weekend, actually tomorrow. The Bud Walton Arena will be back to being able to be used on Monday.
I think so. First next week, yeah.
Had some flooding issues in there, and they've refinished the floor and done some things in there. It brings to light a couple different things. One, we were asked a question earlier on in the break about recruiting and Mike Anderson. And one of the things that I think is sort of hamstrung recruiting, and the recruiting classes for the last few years have been pretty good, but he hasn't been able to get, these great guards that he needs. Anton Beard, I think, will be an answer to prayers for a lot of people in the next couple of years. And maybe if they can get this Jalen Hudson guy, he can be a shooter and that type of guy. But there are a couple things that I think have sort of hindered recruiting right now for the Razorbacks. One of them, the biggest one, I think, is the lack of a practice facility. And I know that the baseball facility is going to be first on the pecking order. And I told Jason in the break, I think Dave Van Horn's been here 10 plus years. He deserves to get this practice facility, indoor practice facility for the baseball team. And Mike Anderson, next up on the list. Before the north end zone expansion in Razorback Stadium and football, there needs to be a practice facility. As the only one in the SEC who doesn't have one, you're getting guys that, I know it didn't affect them when, I guess it was the Rutgers guy, decided to go to Auburn instead, and then he ends up leaving Auburn, so it didn't hurt. But when it comes down to Arkansas and Auburn, you ought to win that recruiting battle in basketball. They didn't win it. A lot of people are saying it's because they didn't have a practice facility. Another thing I think factors in is just the style of play. It's not for everybody. Some of these guys that are, a certain type of player, they're just not going to come play at Arkansas when you're going to run all over the place and they're a, post-up center. Or there's somebody who doesn't necessarily like to play defense. You're not going to come to Arkansas. So I think there are a couple things that have sort of, I don't want to say hindered recruiting because the recruiting has been pretty good, but there are a couple things that in the next few years can be rectified.
Yeah, I agree with that too. And another thing, you got to look at is some of these top-notch players that he's been on that's went other places, they want the ball in their hands. They want to average, 18 to 20 points a game. On Mike Anderson's team, everybody's going to average, the leading scorer is probably going to average say 15 to 17.
Yeah.
So it's not like he's going to get a lot of minutes, because he used a lot of rotation. I think that hurts him also.
There are a couple things about this style of play. I'm going back to Nolan Richardson, and I know Mike Anderson's not Nolan Richardson, but it's sort of the same prototype. You've got a couple of things that are in common with the really good teams of Razorback Pass in this style of play. Remember one of the first good Razorback basketball teams under Nolan Richardson? You had Lee Mayberry, you had Todd Day, you had Oliver Miller. Then you go to the next generation, you had Corey Beck, you had Scotty Thurman, and you had Corliss Williamson. You had a dominant point guard, somebody who could run the team. You had a shooter who could put it in the basket whenever he felt like it. And then you had a big man who could man the paint. Oliver Miller leading, I think he was the all-time leader in Arkansas blocks for a long time. Corliss Williamson, they didn't call him Big Nasty by accident. They had those three elements. And right now you look at the team, maybe in a couple years, Anton Beard is your Corey Beck, maybe Anflon Bell or this Jalen Hudson guy, if he chooses Arkansas or Virginia Tech, can become a Scotty Thurman type. And maybe Bobby Portis or Moses Kingsley is your Corliss Williamson. But those two things, it's not an accident that those two teams were that good, built around that triangle of guys.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Like you're saying, though, maybe Beard and Portis will be the answer. And if we can get a guard to go in there, if it is a Bell or a Hudson or whoever that, it might be, maybe it's going to be Malik Monk maybe in a couple years or something.
That kid.
He's
legit.
Sick.
He's sick. If he can work on a jump shot, he'll be insane because he can already fly.
Yeah, and he visited Saturday for an unofficial visit, so
nice. Well, he's at Bentonville, so he'll be there all the time now.
Right.
And it's gonna be good for him. Whatever you've got to do to get him on campus, guys, get it done. I'm not gonna look at the camera when I say that, but that way we can dub over my voice. But whatever you gotta do, get it done to get him on campus. That'll answer the guard play question real quickly. If you get guys like him in a couple years to show up, will they make the NCAA tournament this year? Looking at the schedule, it's going to be tough. They've got a very, very tough SEC schedule. They play Florida and Kentucky twice, I believe. They don't play at Auburn this year, which has been the only place Arkansas can win on the road. They've got a tough schedule this year. I do think that they're going to jump up in the SEC race and be in the middle of the pack. NCAA tournament, that one's going to be tough. They don't play a good schedule out of conference. It's just actually pretty pitiful. But if they're able to do what I expect them to do as far as making an improvement in the SEC, they'll be in the conversation. I don't want to go as far as to say that they'll make the NCAA tournament this year, but I think we'll see market improvement.
I think so too. We're going to have a full team this year. This will be one of the first times that he's actually had a full roster, and with Landis Harris, who I think is going to be a phenomenal player. I think he's going to help out a lot. Then you got Bobby Portis, who I think is going to help out on the inside. So I think we will be improved. But like you're saying, that non-conference schedule, I think that's going to hurt us in the RPI, and it seems like it does every year. And, a lot of the committee looks at that, at the RPI and the strength of schedule and stuff, and that's going to hurt us again. But I think we'll probably, finish 6th or 7th in the SEC, which ought to put us probably right on the bubble again.
Yeah. See, I was thinking at best maybe 5th. If they're any better than that, I think that's a very, very good season, very good showing for them. And like you said, they'll be right in the conversation for the NCAA tournament if they won't make it. The RPI, because the schedule will hurt some things. Now, if they get a big win at Florida or at Kentucky or do something, playing against that all-star squad of Kentucky, you beat them at Rupp, and that'll go carry some weight with the RPI or with the selection committee.
They've got to win on the road.
Win some games.
Some conference games on the road.
Yeah, that's been a bugaboo for the last forever for Razorback basketball. Yeah. But let's switch gears real quickly. If you've got any other questions about Razorback basketball, I love basketball. I'll talk basketball with you any old time. But we need to get to the football game. If you've got more questions, come to facebook.com/sportsblitz or email mark@rivervalleyleader.com. We'll talk about them on Monday. But the Hogs traveling to Gainesville. Maddie already predicted before the season a Arkansas win over Florida.
Hey, here we go.
Jason just about jumped out of his chair.
I did. I almost started to dancing.
He loves some Hogs now. Wearing that shirt in here, we're unbiased Hog supporters here.
Yeah.
No, we love the Hogs, and I said we the other night. I said we the other day on the show. I was like, dang man, I'm supposed to be unbiased. I didn't even go to the University of Arkansas either. I shouldn't even say that. We as the Wonder Boys. But anyway, Matty predicted a Hogs win over Florida, and I told him he was crazy. I told him during the break just now, I think he's a little less crazy, but I do think Florida's going to win the game. I'll just let my score prediction out of the bag. I've got it 24-13 Florida. I don't think their offense is very good, but I think their offense is good enough at what I think will hurt Arkansas, just wearing them down physically with the lack of depth that Arkansas has on the defensive side of the ball. That in the fourth quarter, if Texas A&M late in the third quarter can just grind you to a halt with their running game, Florida's going to be able to do the same thing.
I agree with that, but also you got to look at the reason why why A&M was able to do that against Arkansas is because they had to look at Manziel running the ball and to look at him throwing the ball. I think that had a lot to do with them just being able to run right down our throat, because a lot of time we had Dietrich Wise in there at defensive tackle, which we both know that he's a defensive end. But, yeah, Arkansas's got their hands full. The front seven of Florida is one of the best in the country, and their defense line is probably the best in the country, even with Dominique Easley, being out for the year.
Yeah.
It's going to be a tough game.
Now, I know you'll bring some numbers here in just a minute as far as where Florida is statistically speaking on the defensive side of the ball. It's strength versus strength. Arkansas likes to run the ball. Florida says you can't run the ball, and that's sort of one of those things that it's going to be tough. And Brandon Allen's starting on the road for the first time. I feel like Arkansas struggled to run the ball in the second half against Texas A&M to an extent. Alex Collins had a really, really good game, and he was always looked like one step away from just breaking one. But when it's strength against strength at home, I feel like you have a better chance. And when Arkansas is going on the road in the fourth quarter in the swamp at night, to me, it's kind of how are you gonna stand up to the crowd? You remember the old NCAA football game where when you played in the swamp, it was the number one toughest place to play, and your controller would shake, and you'd throw it to a guy, and inexplicably he'd turn around and fumble it, and you're just like, what in the world just happened? That sort of thing is although it's not as pronounced as that sort of thing will happen. You got a freshman in Alex Collins. Has he put the ball on the ground yet? I don't know that he has.
I don't know if he has either.
You're in the swamp. You're a freshman. You're from Florida, and these guys are going to come up and lay a lick on you. Now, turnovers could play a big play in this game. I'm not saying that he's going to fumble it, but it just seems to me like the things are sort of stacked up against the Hogs this week. I do hope that Brandon Allen has a good game. I hope Arkansas wins the game, but 24-13 is what I've got it going in favor of Florida right now.
I think it's going to come down to turnovers for sure, like you're saying. And, I think they in 4 games they've got 10 turnovers.
Yeah.
So, and Murphy, it's his first start at home. I'm sure he's going to be a little shaky there too. You never know. I think it's going to come down to quarterback play. Which quarterback doesn't have the fewest mistakes, I think, is going to help win the game. But Jonathan Williams and Alex Collins has got to run hard.
Yeah.
Florida, they've only the most they've gave up in one game so far this year is 66 yards. So, it's going to be a tough test, and we couldn't run against Rutgers very well, and I'm sure Florida's defense is a little bit better than Rutgers. But, of course, they were, putting everybody in the box because we had A.J. Derby back there, but it's going to be a tall order for them.
Now that we've gotten the negative out of the way, what Jason just said is the point that I think that Arkansas has to focus on, and Arkansas fans that think that they can compete in this game have to focus on. Can Brandon Allen do enough to keep, and this is sort of on the play calling as well, because they have to put them in positions to where Brandon Allen can make a throw, to an open receiver, or get a receiver open, and make some plays enough to keep the defense honest to where they're not going like this. They're sort of more spread out, and then you can run. It's still going to be tough though, because Florida, like you said, gives up 60 yards a game.
53 yards a game. 66 is the most that they've gave up in one game.
I will make a prediction. Arkansas will run for more yards than Florida's given up all year. I'll make that prediction right now.
Will we get 100?
I don't know. Between the two of them, I would hope so. If Arkansas is going to win the game, they better get 100 yards on the ground. Brandon Allen throwing for 300 plus, like what did he throw for last week? It was something near 300. Mm-hmm. That's probably not going to happen this week. But if you're going to win the game, I've got it 24-13. If Arkansas is going to score enough to win that game, the trick plays and stuff like that are all good, and you're going to have to do something similar to that. Maybe a fake punt, a fake field goal, maybe a flea flicker again, one of those plays where they sneak out Hunter Henry or somebody like that, a wheel route out of the backfield for Alex Collins. Where is Ronnie Wingo when you need him? That would be exciting. Maddie's got it 10-9 Arkansas over Florida. Maddie's also sort of handicapped. No, I'm just playing. Arkansas is going to have some good play from Brandon Allen. They're going to have to have some big plays from the wide receivers. DeArthur Cowan, they're talking about him not being ready to play this week, but possibly being back next week. You think they should play him, or do you think they should just say, look, you've got 6 games left. He's already missed 6 games. Might as well redshirt him in a season you're not planning to really do a whole lot. What do you think about that?
If he's healthy, you got to play him. Because they were talking about before he got hurt that he was going to be one of the go-to receivers. And right now, Arkansas does not have a receiver we can say, hey, get separation here. I'm going to you on a 15-yard out or curl or deep post or whatnot. So if Cowan can help, yes, because I think we need to this first year we need to get to 6 wins to be bowl eligible, and I think you got to use whatever you got to get them out on the field.
All right, so if Arkansas is going to win, one thing's going to have to stay the same as it was last week. One penalty last week for the Hogs. You go on the road to the Swamp. A lot of times you'll see teams, jump off. I came across on defense, or I got a phantom pass interference call against me, 2009. Or Tim Tebow got that first down after he was a yard and a half short. You're going to have to overcome some things on the road. So one thing's going to have to stay the same, though. One penalty against Texas A&M, Arkansas is going to have to continue that clean play.
Yeah, for sure. Talking about the 2009 game, man.
I've never been so mad.
Oh, me neither. There was 2 pass interference calls in the end zone.
And one of them was offensive pass interference. It was called on Arkansas.
Yeah. And then, when Malcolm Shepard hit that guy, the other guy was coming into him too. So I don't know. You're probably going to get some bad breaks. You always do on the road, but Arkansas has got to be able to withstand that storm.
Yeah. Well, before we leave, we are completely out of time. Before we leave, we mentioned Jalen Hudson a couple of times during the basketball segment. He's a talented guard out of St. Vincent St. Mary's in Ohio, in Akron. You may recognize that name. Same high school LeBron James went to. He's a big-time guard and one of the rising stars in high school basketball right now. Over the summer, he just really lit it up. He's making his decision today between Virginia Tech and Arkansas. Jason follows recruiting a little bit closer than I do. What have you heard?
Oh, man, I think Arkansas thinks they got him. I think Virginia Tech thinks they got him. He's going to be committing today when school is out, so I guess that's around 3 or 4 o'clock this afternoon. But what I'm hearing is one of his parents is sick in Ohio and that he wants to stay close to home, so that's looking bad for Arkansas, looking better for Virginia Tech, because me and you, before the show, we looked at it, and it was 14 hours from Ohio to Arkansas, and then only 6 hours from Ohio to Virginia Tech. So Arkansas's got their work cut out, but Anderson, they've been on him for a long time. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll have to see if he makes the decision for Arkansas. He could be a difference maker in a couple years for Arkansas. Sure. He's that good. So we'll see where he goes, and on Monday we'll talk about it. That is literally all the time that we have for today. For Maddie and Jason, I'm Mark. So long. Thank you for joining us today. We'll be back at 11 o'clock on Monday at rivervalleyleader.com.
Go Hogs.